Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today we are talking about the Expendables 4, and more specifically, we are taking a look at the subject of how the Expendables 4 could finally deliver on Iko Uwais as a Hollywood villain. Iko Uwais is the villain of the Expendables 4, as we've already reported on previously, and this can let him show off his villain skills in a way. This can let him show off his villain skills in a way his other Western movies haven't. By joining the Expendables 4, the upcoming action sequel could give Indonesian actor legend Iko Uwais the chance to show his capability as a villain in a way that he hasn't gotten to yet. After a long hiatus following the commercial disappointment of 2014's The Expendables 3, was it 2014? I'm trying to think. I believe so. Let me check IMDb real quick. I know this is probably going to be boring most of you. The Expendables 3. And yes, it was 2014. Okay. I'm only checking because sometimes sometimes these authors give the wrong years. So I just wanted to double verify. The team is back for the Expendables 4, set to be released in 2022. Jason Statham's Lee Christmas will lead the way this time, while new cast members include Tony Jaa, Megan Fox, and 50 Cent, with Uwais reportedly portraying the main villain. Following his famed film debut in 2009's Marantau, Iko Uwais has anchored one martial arts hit after another, most notably the Raid duology. Uwais has also had major successes in action films like Beyond Skyline. Okay, I'm going to have to take your word for it. I've never seen Beyond Skyline. I never even saw the first Skyline movie. And no, actually, I take that back. I did see the first Skyline movie, but I turned it off after about 20 minutes, so I never wasted my time with Beyond Skyline. Headshot, I'm not too familiar with, and Triple Threat, itself a very Expendable style ensemble. Triple Threat I have seen. Yeah, is that the one I'm thinking of where it's about the bank robbers? It's like a one last heist kind of thing. If you can please let me know down in the comments, because that might be the one I'm thinking. I might be thinking of a completely different movie. Aside from his more heroic roles, Uwais has stepped into villainous shoes on numerous occasions over the years, but hasn't gotten as much of a chance to bring his usual fireworks to most of these antagonistic roles. Iko Uwais was first seen as an antagonist in Keanu Reeves' directorial debut, Man of Tai Chi. Another one I saw maybe one time, but I don't really remember anything about it. But as action-packed as the movie was, his match with Tiger Chen in an underground fight club amounted to very little. Uwais and Chen thankfully got to have a much better rematch in Triple Threat. Star Wars The Force Awakens also infamously had Uwais and his co-stars from the Raid films, Yayan Ruhian and Sisep Arif Rahman, make a brief appearance as members of the Kanji Club, but gave them nothing to do. Mile 22 revealed Uwais as a veiled antagonist at the last minute, but his fight scenes in the movie were over-edited, while his later villainous role in an otherwise entertaining buddy cop movie Stuber also underutilized Uwais' talents. To date, the only Iko Uwais villain role where he truly got to shine is in I'm not going to be able to pronounce that name. The night comes for us, with his Indonesian gang enforcer Aryan pursuing his one-time friend Ito, Joe Taslim. The latter's conscience begins to pull him out of his criminal life, while Julia Estelle's operator also arrives as another shadowy enemy. The Silat-filled action scenes of The Night Comes for Us were up there with the best Uwais has ever done. While Aryan was a starkly different role from the more upright characters he'd previously embodied. With Uwais as the Expendable 4's villain, it could give him his first chance to show his strengths as a bad guy in a Western action movie. Tony Jaa being in the Expendables 4 also offers the very tantalizing possibility of the two facing off. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop you right here. I think that's a lot of wishful thinking, because I remember some people really thinking that when Chuck Norris was announced to be Chuck Norris and Jean-Claude Van Damme were announced to be in the Expendables 2, everyone was thinking it was going to lead to this big fight between Norris and Van Damme, and as we know, it never happened. In fact, Chuck Norris was only in the Expendables 2 for maybe 5 minutes, which was really underwhelming, but that's another conversation for another time. Uwais and Ja previously had a brief but exhilarating battle before becoming allies in Triple Threat, and it seems like a possibility they'll be true adversaries this time. Uwais can now really get to cut loose as the villain of the Expendables 4 against a fellow martial arts legend like Tony Jaa. Additionally, with the humanity and tragedy Uwais brought to Aryan in the Night Comes for Us, he could have the chance to go in the opposite direction and channel a more ruthless antagonist embodied by the franchise's past villains. Iko Uwais hasn't gotten to show his potential as a villain in his Hollywood outings yet, but the Expendables 4 could be where that opportunity finally arrives. And that's something that I think has always been really weird about Iko Uwais, especially with the popularity of The Raid. And you really saw it in movies like 2012's Dredd is a perfect example. That was a straight up knockoff. It was basically Judge Dredd in The Raid was all it was. And even 2016's Suicide Squad movie, the one directed by David Ayer, had elements of the Raid in it. So how come no one from The Raid really came over to the West and, really made a name for themselves in Hollywood despite the popularity? I remember when Tarantino brought over the martial arts movies from China. This was back in the 90s going into the 2000s. That's what made Jet Li a star over here in the States. And same with Jackie Chan to a degree. But the same cannot be said about Iko Uwais and his other co-stars from The Raid, which like I said is quite shocking given their popularity. And guys, that's pretty much all I've got for you. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, I'm terrible at ending these videos. So I will just see you guys next time.